you doing? I mean, really, how are you doing? Well, many of us find ourselves dealing with more stress, sadness, discomfort, and depression in these last several months than perhaps ever in our lifetimes. The pandemic, along with divisive political times and economic upheaval, have been weighing on us. Earlier today, I moderated a panel discussion put on by Stepping Up Evansville to look at the mental and emotional challenges women in our community are facing as we juggle family, jobs, and all that's going on in the world around us. And joining me right now is one of those panelists, Lisa Seif, psychotherapist with Integrity Psychological and Counseling Associates in Evansville. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us again this afternoon. Today's discussion was called Holding It All Together, and I was struck by your candid comments on how this pandemic has affected our emotional and mental health. Talk about the impact you've seen.
Well, if I remember, I was talking about the main impact that I've seen in my circle is the uncertainty has lent itself to creating a lot of anxieties and angst and uncertainties in people's lives, and people do better when there's predictability. You know, you can have all the money and status and prestige, you can have all that you've ever wanted, but if you don't have predictability in your life and stability in your life, it can rattle people's central nervous system. And the brain is your master computer. It's where everything happens, and there's chemicals that are produced by our neurotransmitters that now people are taking medicines to help duplicate and reactivate those chemicals. And I think this pandemic has smothered our brains, and it's prevented us from having the endorphins and the dopamine and serotonin, the cortisol, the kind of things the brain needs to feel balanced and feel good. And so that's one thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is it has been positive. I've seen some positive things come out of the pandemic in that people are more internally aware and compassionate about themselves and what they're going through, so they're more open to looking for the right resources and the right places to get some of that support and predictability.
Well, what do people do when they do feel overwhelmed, that this is too much to bear?
Well, there's always the fight, flight, freeze response in the brain, but I think most of us have learned in our own ways how to cope with things. In the pandemic, we've had to pull on the coping skills that we've been taught. We've had to pull on the coping skills that we've learned about. You know, when you're overwhelmed, nothing helps better than finding somebody that understands, that you can talk to. You don't have to come to a therapist or make it a professional kind of engagement. Sometimes just good friends, a good support group, a good book, a good movie, good music, meditation, getting outside, sunlight. There's so many things that are free for us to tap into that can help us cope when we're overwhelmed. What happens, Shelley, some people don't treat it at that earliest spot of overwhelmed, and they let it go on. They think, I've got this, or they start drinking more or taking other things. And before you know it, it's a panic attack or an anxiety disorder. Right. So we want to get things early in our profession.
But how do people know when, just feeling sad or depressed becomes serious enough to seek professional help?
That's a great question. I think if people feel off, then they don't, maybe not professional help, but they need to do something right away. If you fell and scraped your elbow, you might go in and bandage it yourself. But if the next day it's not looking so good, what are you going to do? You're going to go bump up to somebody that can help you so that heals quicker. Mental and emotional health's the same way. If you're feeling sad, grief can feel like a clinical depression. People separating or being together too much, they may feel they're using words of depression or anxiety very loosely. We're hearing the words bipolar now being used. It used to be attention deficit disorder. These things are just telling us something doesn't feel right with that person, and we need to help them get to the places where they can understand what's making them tick.
All right, Lisa, I wish we had more time to talk more about this, but thankfully we have the panel discussion that's online. We have a link at tristatehomepage.com to the panel discussions so folks can actually hear the entire process. I want to thank Lisa for joining us this evening. She was one of the panelists this morning when we were talking about this, but thank you, Lisa Seif from Integrity Psychological Services. We appreciate your time this evening. Also on that link, you will find resources for help. If you need help, you can find resources there as well. That's at tristatehomepage.com. Just look on the links page.